Welcome back to JForrest English. I'm Jennifer, and today Taylor Swift is going to be your English teacher. You are going to learn advanced vocabulary, advanced grammar rules, and correct pronunciation directly from Taylor Swift. Are you excited? Let's get started. First, we're going to read a news article together, and this news article is about Taylor Swift and her upcoming concert and how the ticket prices are outrageous. You will learn a lot of advanced vocabulary from this article. So let's review that together now. First, I'll read the headline. People are selling Taylor Swift Toronto tickets for outrageous prices days before official sale. So we're talking about the Taylor Swift concert taking place in Toronto, the city of Toronto in Canada, which is Canada's largest city. And the prices are outrageous. So what does this adjective tell you about the prices? If I say the prices are outrageous, well, it means the prices are very high, extremely high. And it also implies too high. Now, the adjective outrageous means shocking. Shocking in this case because they're too high. It can also mean morally unacceptable. So you might be looking at one of Taylor Swift's outfits, what she's wearing, and say, oh, that's outrageous, if you think it's morally unacceptable. Now, let's take a look at too high, because I could say the prices are very high, or I could say the prices are too high. If I say something that is too high, too plus adjective, it means that you think they should be less, because that's what this word too means. Whereas if I just say, oh, the prices are very high, it doesn't necessarily mean I think they should be less. Perhaps what you're purchasing deserves the high price, and you're just stating a fact. The prices are very high, but it's worth it. But the prices are too high. You think they should be less. Now, don't worry about taking notes, because I summarize everything in a free lesson PDF, so you can look for the link in the description. Now, let's continue and find out about these outrageous prices. So, how much do you think it will be for one Taylor Swift ticket? Let's see if you're right. Okay. On Thursday, mega pop star Taylor Swift finally confirmed that she would be bringing her sold-out Eras tour to Toronto. So sold out, this is an adjective to describe her tour. In this case, it's an adjective because it comes before the noun. The noun is tour. You could say her tickets sold out in 20 minutes, for example. So in this case, the verb is sold out. Her tickets sold out in 20 minutes. But in this case, it's an adjective. Now, when something sells out, it means all the supply of it is gone. So 100% of the tickets are sold. That's sold out. 100% of tickets are sold. Now, this is a very good thing if you're running any sort of event, conference, anything that people buy tickets to. You want those tickets to be sold out. This could even be a ticket on an airline. Oh, all the tickets are sold out, so I can't get on that flight, for example. So in that case, you can say to be sold out. So your verb is to be, and then sold out is an adjective. All the tickets are sold out. Are sold out. To be sold out. Let's continue. So she would be bringing her sold out Eras tour to Toronto for a record-breaking 6 nights at the Rogers Centre. The Rogers Centre is the location where she'll be performing in Toronto. Following months of desperate pleas. So a plea is please, please, please. That's a plea. And desperate is when you have a very strong emotion of necessity in that. Please, 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 please. A desperate please from Canadian Swifties. So I didn't quite know what this was at first, but her name is Taylor Swift. So I guess the people who are fans of Taylor Swift are called Swifties. I like Taylor Swift music, but I've never heard this expression. I guess I probably wouldn't consider myself a Swiftie. I don't know. What about you? Would you consider yourself a Swiftie? Are you a die-hard Taylor Swift fan? I think this expression is probably reserved for the die-hard fans. The die-hard fans. This might sound negative because it has the word die in it, but it's not. I guess another way of a more positive way, I guess, would be the super fans, the mega fans. So the diehard fans are her best fans. I hope you're a diehard fan of my channel. Are you? Put that in the comments if you are. So you can say, Jennifer, I'm a diehard fan. Or if you want to use a different adjective, you could also say huge fan in addition to super or mega. So put that in the comments. And of course, I want you to be super mega fans. Okay, let's continue. Although the official Ticketmaster verified sale is still days away, resellers have already begun to list tickets for outrageous prices. So now you know that this outrageous, when I hear this, oh, it's outrageous, I have a sense of I'm a little bit angry about it because it's too much. It's too much compared to what you get in return. So when you say it, you do have like a negative reaction towards it. Oh, that's outrageous. Now you could use this for someone's decision. Maybe your boss asked you to come in on Saturday even though it's your son's birthday and he knows it's your son's birthday, to do some work that isn't even that important. And you could say that's outrageous. So you are expressing your extreme dissatisfaction towards his request. Are you enjoying this lesson? If you are, then I want to tell you about the Finally Fluent Academy. This is my premium training program where we study native English speakers on TV, movies, YouTube, and the news so you can improve your listening skills of fast English and add all these advanced expressions to your speech to help you sound fluent and natural. And you'll have me as your personal coach. So you can look for the link in the description to learn more. Let's continue. So I put this dialogue here for you, and that's outrageous. This is how native speakers reply to someone's news or an event if we think it is very shocking. And remember, it has that negativity in it. That's outrageous. So have begun to list tickets. If they list tickets, it simply means they make them available for purchase. So to list tickets for outrageous prices, some of which even exceed people's rent for 1 month. Okay, so if it exceeds, it means it's more than. So how much do you think people pay for rent in Toronto? And if it exceeds that, how much do you think that Taylor Swift ticket is? Any idea now how much these outrageous prices are? Put it in the comments if you have a guess. Okay, a reseller. Here, this is a person, but it's a person who sells something again. So you could be a reseller if you buy a product on Amazon, let's say, or AliExpress, and then you sell it on a different site. That's what a lot of people do to make money. They're resellers. They buy something from one place and they instantly sell it in another place, hopefully to make money in return. So obviously they want to buy it for less than they sell it for. So that's a reseller, and that's someone's job or hobby. They've begun, so the present perfect because it's in progress now. It started in the past, continues until the present. All right, exceed, remember this means more than people's rent for 1 month. More than. It comes as no surprise that the majority of these speculative listings, now don't worry about what's a speculative listing. Well, we'll find out because they provide a definition of it below. These speculative listings come with a staggering 4-figure price tag. Okay, so if something comes with a price tag, that's just another way of saying what the price of it is. Oh, I went on this amazing vacation, but it came with a steep price tag. I just said a steep price tag. That is another way of saying a high price tag. So it came with a steep price tag. Now, if you don't want to use price tag and you just want to use price, you actually have to change the preposition. You can say it came at a steep price or cost. So here, notice it came at, I'm changing the preposition from with to at, and this is when you just use price or cost. If you want to use tag, then it came with a steep price tag, an outrageous price tag, a staggering price tag, a staggering 4-figure price tag. So now you know how much the price is, right? Because it's a 4-figure price tag. So notice it's 4-figure price tag. It's not 4 figures with an S on figures because this is functioning as an adjective. So you could say there are 4 figures, but here it's a 4-figure price tag. Now, what is a 4-figure price tag? Well, you can think of a figure as a number. So right here, if her ticket sold for $1, that would be a 1-figure price tag because there's literally one figure, one number. If it were $10, that's a 2-figure price tag, 3-figure price tag, 4-figure price tag, okay? And then this would be a 5-figure price tag. Thankfully, it's hard to read without the comma, I find. So thankfully, it's not $10,000, but because it is 4 figures, a 4-figure price tag, we know that the price is about $1,000, which is what some people are paying for 1 month in Toronto for their rent. All right, so that's 4-figure, a 4-figure price tag. Staggering. This is similar to outrageous. It means shocking, a staggering 4-figure price tag, shocking or surprising. So are you shocked by this price for one ticket? So if you want to take your girlfriend, boyfriend, husband, wife, friend, me, you can take me to Taylor Swift. That will be at least $2,000 for you. Come with a staggering 4-figure price tag just to sit up in the nosebleeds. In an arena, the nosebleed section is the highest section. So they're the worst seats. And we refer to that section commonly as the nosebleeds. That's not the official name of it. That isn't the name that Ticketmaster, the website selling the tickets, they wouldn't use that because it doesn't sound good. But that's just the common name for it. So someone might ask you, oh, where are you sitting? And you can say, oh, I'm in the nosebleeds. And that's not a good place to sit. It's the worst seats. They're the highest up. And if they're the highest up, it means you're the farthest away from the stage. Okay, so I'll write that for you. Let's continue. The US leg of the tour. Leg of the tour, in this case, leg simply means section or part. So when the tour was in the US, that's one leg of the tour. So she has her entire tour where she's going to many different locations. So when she's in Europe, that would be one leg of the tour, one part of the tour. And then if she goes to Africa, that would be another leg of the tour. So it would be the African leg, the European leg, the American leg, for example. The US leg of the tour was met with unprecedented demand. If something is unprecedented, it means it hasn't been experienced before. Excuse me. So it suggests that there has been more demand than experienced before. So obviously an extremely high level of demand. And even crashed Ticketmaster's website immediately after the first batch of tickets went live in November 2022. Okay, I'm sure you know the verb crash, to crash a website, because we've all experienced this. When a website crashes, it means it stops functioning because of a problem. If your computer crashes, your computer stops functioning, and that's a sign that there's some sort of a problem. So a website could crash, but your device, such as your computer, laptop, iPad, phone, could also crash. So an example, you could say, my computer crashed and now I have to start the report from scratch. When you start something from scratch, you start it from the very beginning. Because if your computer crashes, everything freezes or your computer restarts, and then it won't save the document you were working on most of the time. All right. According to Ticketmaster, a speculative listing, now we know this definition of speculative listing is when unofficial sellers list tickets for sale even though they do not actually have those tickets. So remember I taught you what a reseller is? Well, in this case, they're selling the product before they've even purchased the product. So they don't actually have the product yet that they're selling to someone else. So could you imagine paying $4 figures for a ticket that doesn't technically exist because the person selling it doesn't actually have the ticket yet? Ooh, that's a little risky, I would say. They are betting or speculating. This is the resellers who are selling the tickets that they don't actually have yet. So the resellers, are betting or speculating. So this is where the word comes from. The speculative listing is because they're betting that they will be able to get the tickets. They're speculating. And then resell them to fans. So resell, sell again. Remember, sell again to fans. Ticketmaster's website reads, I did not know this was a thing. I don't buy a lot of concert tickets. What about you? Have you heard about this where someone does this speculative listing where they sell a ticket that they don't actually own yet? It seems a little risky to me. What about you? All right. Tickets on StubHub are currently priced at a minimum of $1,800. So here you can read this as 1,800 or 1,800. So a minimum of 1,800. So that's almost 2,000, obviously. But remember before, it just said 4-figure. So a 4-figure goes up to 9,999 because once you get to the next, it's now a 5-figure because you'll add 1 digit, right? 10,000 is 5 figures, but 1,000 to 9,999 is 4 figures. So the tickets aren't actually $1,000. They're $1,800, $1,800 each For seats in the 500 section, this is the nosebleed section. So you're paying $1,800 for the worst seat in the arena. Would you pay that? Now, can you see why this is outrageous? And remember, there's a little bit of anger in it. That's outrageous. Would you agree with that? If you agree with that, then put "that's outrageous" in the comments below. And remember, if you include an emoji, which is useful to show emotion, the emoji has to be some sort of angry or type of emoji. So you can include that with "that's outrageous" if you want as well. Who knows? Maybe you think this is totally worth it to see Taylor Swift because you're a Swiftie, you're a die-hard Taylor Swift fan, you're a super fan, and you would gladly pay this money to see Taylor Swift. That is entirely possible for some people. And in that case, it wouldn't be outrageous to them. For seats in the 500 section, remember this is the nosebleeds, on the first night of the tour in Toronto. The majority of 100 section tickets, so the lower the number, the closer you are to the stage. So the 100 section would be perhaps the closest to the stage, certainly a lot closer than the 500 section. The majority of 100 section tickets are priced between, here we go. This is even more outrageous, perhaps. $2,700 or $2,700 to a mind-boggling $12,000. Wow. What do you think? That's outrageous? Or I'm a Swiftie, so I'm going to gladly pay $12,000 to see Taylor Swift. You're probably wondering about mind-boggling. Mind-boggling. This is an adjective. It means extremely surprising or difficult to understand or imagine. So if I say like that's mind-boggling, it means I'm having a hard time even understanding how one ticket could cost $12,000. It's mind-boggling. So it's similar to outrageous, but it also implies that you're having a difficult time even understanding how this could be. So what do you think? That's outrageous? Or you could also say in the comments section, that's mind-boggling. That's mind-boggling. What do you think? Or you can say, I'd pay that. I'd pay that because I'm a Swiftie. How did they spell it? Swiftie. I'd pay that because I'm a Swiftie. So those are your options. I'd pay that because I'm a Swiftie. That's mind-boggling. That's outrageous. Put your choice in the comments. The most expensive tickets currently available on StubHub are running for $13,214 each. It just keeps getting more and more expensive now. So $13,214 because you see the dollar sign after each. All right, who's taking me to Taylor Swift? And I want the 100 section tickets. I don't want the nosebleed tickets, please. In general, ticket prices seem to decline as the tour in Toronto goes on. When something goes on, it means progresses. As the tour progresses, as it goes on. So I'll write that there for you. As the tour in Toronto goes on. But so far, there doesn't even seem to be any seats available for less than $1,000. Now you know why some people are saying that's outrageous. Other people perhaps not, because they're Swifties. So now what I'll do, that's the end of the article. So what I'll do now is I'll read the article from start to finish, and this time you can focus on my pronunciation. People are selling Taylor Swift Toronto tickets for outrageous prices days before official sale. On Thursday, mega pop star Taylor Swift finally confirmed that she would be bringing her sold-out Eras tour to Toronto for a record-breaking 6 nights at the Rogers Centre, following months of desperate pleas from Canadian Swifties. Although the official Ticketmaster verified sale is still days away, resellers have already begun to list tickets for outrageous prices, some of which even exceed people's rent for 1 month. It comes as no surprise that the majority of these speculative listings come with a staggering 4-figure price tag just to sit up in the nosebleeds. The U.S. leg of the tour was met with unprecedented demand and even crashed Ticketmaster's website immediately after the first batch of tickets went live in October 2022. According to Ticketmaster, a speculative listing is when unofficial sellers list tickets for sale even though they do not actually have those tickets. They are betting or speculating that they will be able to get tickets and then resell them to fans, Ticketmaster's website reads. Tickets on StubHub are currently priced at a minimum of $1,800 each for seats in the 500 section on the first night of the tour in Toronto. The majority of 100 section tickets are priced between $2,700 to a mind-boggling $12,000. The most expensive tickets currently available on StubHub are running for $13,214 each. In general, ticket prices seem to decline as the tour in Toronto goes on, but so far, there doesn't even seem to be any seats available for less than $1,000. Amazing job with that section. Now, let's say you do get a ticket to see Taylor Swift. One of her most popular songs is Anti-Hero. And now we're going to review the lyrics to the song Anti-Hero, and you're going to learn a lot of advanced expressions, advanced grammatical structures, and correct pronunciation. Let's do that now. Let's start by reviewing the name of the song, which is Anti-Hero. Anti-Hero. An anti-hero is someone who does not have traditional heroic qualities. So notice here, heroic, this is an adjective to describe the qualities. You can also describe a person as heroic. So you could say firefighters, people who fight fires, firefighters are very heroic. So we're using it as an adjective. So anti-hero is someone who does not have these traditional heroic qualities like courage. But even though they don't have those qualities, they're still admired. Now, you probably hear about anti-heroes more in movies, plays, books, in this case, song lyrics. Thinking of movies, the first movie that came to my mind is the movie Deadpool. If you haven't seen the movie Deadpool, I highly recommend it because it's hilarious. And this character is a classic example of an anti-hero. So now let's continue on with the rest of the lyrics. Now remember, this is a song, so it's not going to sound the same just reading it, but I am not going to sing this for you. But I have selected some of the most common expressions and idioms that I think you might not know and will be useful for you to have in your vocabulary. So we're just going to focus on these specific expressions that I've highlighted. And after I explain everything, I've included the link to where you can listen to the song, but with the lyrics as well. So you can follow along with the lyrics. So you can click this link after you've watched the lesson. Okay, so this line is, When my depression works the graveyard shift. So here, what I have highlighted to work the graveyard shift, this is actually a time period. And it's a time period at work that begins late at night, so usually around midnight, and ends early in the morning. So you might work from 12 o'clock midnight to 6 a.m. And there are many people who would have to work the graveyard shift, such as doctors, nurses, police, and firefighters, my earlier example, and of course, many others as well. What about you? Have you ever worked the graveyard shift? Share in the comments below. As an example sentence, you could say, I'm exhausted from working the graveyard shift all week. So that's what it means. Now, she's saying my depression. So she's saying her depression starts affecting her around midnight and it lasts all night into the morning. So that's a very negative thing because obviously you're not going to sleep very well if your depression works the grave night shift, right? So let's go to our next sentence. She says, all of the people I've ghosted stand there in the room. Now, I just want to point out, as we're going through this song, just remember this is a song. Taylor Swift wrote it, and the song is kind of like a dream she had. The lyrics don't really make a lot of sense in terms of telling a story. It's like if you tried to tell someone about your dream and it probably wouldn't make a lot of sense. So just keep that in mind as we're reviewing the lyrics. All of the people I've ghosted. Have you heard this expression? To ghost someone. I've been ghosted. I ghosted him. I ghosted her. This is a new expression that has only been used probably for the last 5 to 10 years. When you ghost someone, you suddenly disappear from that person's life, but you don't tell the person that you're ending the relationship. And the relationship could be a romantic relationship, but it could also be a friendship as well. So let's say you started a new friendship with someone and you hung out 3 or 4 times, you went to the movies, you got coffee, you went out for dinner together, and then all of a sudden, that person doesn't talk to you anymore. You send them a message, hey, do you want to get together this weekend? No reply. You send them another message, hey, did you get my last message? No reply. That person just ghosted you. So I wrote the definition here for you, and let me give you another example sentence. We went out on 3 dates, but then she ghosted me. She just stopped replying to my messages, stopped sending me messages, and she didn't tell me or explain why. The next sentence is, I should not be left to my own devices. This is an idiom, to leave someone to their own devices. Notice the plural. It's devices, plural, devices. And this is to allow someone to make their own decisions about what to do. So by saying I should not be left to my own devices, Taylor Swift is saying that she should not be allowed to make her own decisions about what to do. Here's another example sentence. My boss never leaves me to my own devices. So my boss doesn't allow me to make my own decisions. Of course, in this context, it's about a workplace decisions, right? So it's a very common expression, more so used in a business context. But as you can see with Taylor Swift, you can use it in a general context as well. Let's continue on with our lyrics. They come with prices and vices. Well, that rhymes. Prices, vices. What does vice mean? Well, a vice is a noun and it simply means a bad habit. So remember her line before is that she shouldn't be left to her own devices. She shouldn't be able to make her own decisions. If she does, well, then she has a lot of bad habits that will influence her decisions. So that could be a reason why she shouldn't be left to her own devices. Now, we use this quite a lot with bad habits that aren't that bad of habits, like chocolate. A lot of people will say chocolate is my main vice in life, which is saying, you know, you shouldn't eat so much chocolate, but you do anyway. It's a bad habit of yours. So you can use this with more serious vices like drugs and alcohol, but we also use it with more light vices like chocolate or McDonald's or things like that. Maybe listening to too much Taylor Swift is your vice because you should be working and not listening to Taylor Swift. Okay, let's continue on. So remember, we're skipping quite a lot because we're just focusing on specific words that I don't think you'll understand. Because you got tired of my scheming. Now, what does it mean to scheme? When you scheme, it's when you make plans, but those plans are secret. And the purpose of those plans is to deceive others. Deceive simply means you want them to believe or do something that isn't true or isn't good for them. So it's a negative thing to scheme. To scheme. How can we trick someone? How can we do something that will benefit us but not them? Here's an example for you. My kids have been scheming to avoid chores. So imagine your kids are like, how can we tell mom that we don't need to clean the bathroom? Or how can we get dad to do the dishes for us? That's scheming. And then they talk back and forth to each other. We can tell them we have homework to do, but then they don't actually have homework. It's just the scheme, right? So, of course, this is more of a lighthearted example, but it can be used in a more negative way as well. You can scheme to try to cheat or steal, for example. So, because you got tired of my scheming. So someone, whoever the you is, was tired of Taylor Swift always creating these plans to deceive that person, scheming. And it makes sense that the person would get tired of it, not want her to do that. Okay, then the chorus. The chorus is pretty simple. There's just one word that I'll point out. I'll stare directly at the sun, but never in the mirror. So to stare, this is the same as look. So right now I'm looking here, but notice when I look, sometimes my eyes will move a little bit or I'll blink my eyes. But when you stare, it's really intense. And I look directly at you and I don't blink. I'm just staring. So it can be very intimidating when you stare at someone, and it's considered rude or impolite in North American culture, at least, to stare. But in this example, staring directly at the sun, which is actually something you should not do because it can hurt your eyes. You shouldn't stare at the sun. So let me leave that as your example sentence. You shouldn't stare at the sun because you could hurt your eyes. So don't take that advice from Taylor Swift. But she never stares in the mirror. So she doesn't look at herself for a long period of time intensely in the mirror. So I left the definition of stare for you as well. Now let's continue on. It must be exhausting always rooting for the anti-hero. You know what anti-hero is. So let's talk about the verb to root. And notice you root for someone, or you can root for something as well. Here's the definition. When you root for someone, you want that person or team to win or to achieve something specific in the sense of a promotion or a job. They win that promotion, they win that job. So you can think of it really as winning. We do use this a lot in sports. So let's say it was the World Cup and we had France and Argentina in the playoffs, right? So you would ask someone, who are you rooting for? Who are you rooting for? Which team are you rooting for? You're asking them, who do you want to win? Are you rooting for France or are you rooting for Argentina? Why are you rooting for France? And then you can explain why. Now, let's say there's two people up for a job promotion, Fred and Nancy. Are you rooting for Fred or are you rooting for Nancy? Or it could be in a political context. You have two candidates. Are you rooting for candidate X or candidate Y? So let me just leave that example sentence with sports because that is probably the most common time you'll use it. Are you rooting for France or Argentina? And then whoever you're rooting for is the person or team you want to win. Okay. It must be exhausting always rooting for the anti-hero. So you want the anti-hero to win. Remember, I highly recommend you listen to the song with the lyrics, and then you can see all this new vocabulary and you can listen to the song. Did you know that this is the most popular song according to the charts right now at the time of this recording? That's why I chose it. Okay. And remember I said it seems like the lyrics don't really make a lot of sense. They don't tell a story. It's more like she's talking about her dream. Sometimes I feel like everybody is a sexy baby. Like that's something you might have dreamt about last night, right? So that's why I'm not going through it word for word and I'm focusing on specific words. Did you hear my covert narcissism I disguise as altruism? I'll explain some other words here because you might be wondering about covert. Covert simply means secret or hidden. This is used a lot in a military context. They're on a covert mission. So it's a mission that's secret. The general public has no knowledge of it. They're on a covert mission. They're working on a covert project, for example. So it's used more in military, but it could also be used at work. You could be working on a covert project within your company. Now let's talk about narcissism and altruism. Narcissism is having too much self-interest, interest in your own appearance, or it could also be your abilities as well. And covert narcissism is I'm trying to hide it. I'm trying to keep this interest in myself secret or hidden from others. Altruism, on the other hand, is more of the opposite of narcissism because altruistic people are more concerned about others, not themselves. And it's that willingness to do things for others, even if it means sacrificing your own needs. That's altruism. Now let's talk about disguise. When you disguise something, you try to hide it. And in this case, it's a feeling or an emotion. But we also you can try to disguise yourself. I could try to disguise myself by wearing a black wig. So I could have black hair instead of my normal hair. I could wear glasses and I could wear different clothing so I don't look like myself. Nobody would recognize me if they saw me on the street, for example. So you can disguise yourself. But in this case, she's talking about disguising an emotion. So trying to hide that emotion with another emotion. So she's trying to hide her narcissism, which is interest in herself, her secret narcissism, as altruism, interest in other people. So that's a very interesting lyric, to be honest. It's very well written. Let's continue on. Okay, our chorus again. So remember, we saw stare and rooting, and we already discussed that. Now let's take a look at daughter-in-law. Again, this is what caused me to say this is more like her talking about her dream, because when I first saw this, I was really confused because Taylor Swift cannot have a daughter-in-law. She's too young to have a daughter-in-law, because a daughter-in-law is the woman who is married to your son or daughter. So if Taylor Swift had a daughter-in-law, Taylor Swift would have to have a child, a son or a daughter, but that child would have to be old enough to be married. And then the person her child marries is either her daughter-in-law for a woman or son-in-law for a man. Now, obviously, that's not possible. But if you're in your mid to late 40s or 50s, 60s, then you could definitely have a daughter-in-law. But you possibly have a mother-in-law. A mother-in-law is the mother of your husband or wife. So in the song, she says, I have this dream. My daughter-in-law kills me for the money. She thinks I left them in the will. Okay, that sounds like a common dream that one could have. Now, a will is a legal document. And it outlines how your assets, now your assets could be your money, your house, your car, or any other possessions, will be distributed, which means given to other people after you die. Now, I wonder what this is in your native language. Do you use the terminology will just translated in your native language? I wonder. Let me know in the comments. I'm curious about that. Okay, the daughter-in-law, thinks I left them in the will. That's funny. All right. So it's the chorus again, and that's it. And before you go, make sure you head on over to my website, JForrestEnglish.com, and download your free speaking guide. In this guide, I share 6 tips on how to speak English fluently and confidently. And until next time, happy studying!